Alexis Regala. I am a third-year law student from the University of the Cordilleras.
So, for you, what is the meaning of education for all?
For me, education for all means that every single person in this country or in the world should have equitable and equal rights to education. So not just the basic rights to education, like learning how to read or write, but they should have equal opportunities when it comes to learning and education. So everybody should have equal opportunities with regarding the right to be able to finish their studies in college, or they have the right to know or to learn the basic how-tos in life.
Do you agree that education for all should include all aspects, including law? Why?
Yes, because in law we have a saying that ignorance of the law does not excuse anyone from compliance therewith. That means that it's a legal maxim that means that even if you did not know that what you did was a crime, it's still a crime in the eyes of the law. Because, as you have seen pictures of the Lady Justice or the pictures of the scale, they would always represent that the Lady Justice is blindfolded, which means she cannot judge, or she cannot lean towards someone who is less fortunate. So being poor or being uneducated does not really excuse anyone from complying with whatever the law is saying. So it is same with your rights. Your rights should not be affected just because you did not know these rights. So education for all should not just only be able to give what was constitutionally given to you, like your accessibility to basic education, but it should also apply to your right to information, because it is also your constitutional it is also your inherent right constitutionally to have access to these things.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how aware are you of your rights as a citizen of the Philippines?
I think as a law student, I'm obligated to learn these, because these are the things that, as a future lawyer, these are the things that I need to safeguard, not just for my client, but also for every citizen that I would be interacting. So I take it upon myself to learn these rights, not only because I am obligated, but because it has always been a passion of mine that I should forefront whatever it is that is justiciable for everyone.
How often do you keep yourself updated regarding the new laws being implemented in the country?
With this, I keep myself updated with the laws. Not just the laws, but also with incoming bills, because it helps us with our studies, but also Supreme Court rulings, because the laws that are being passed in the Congress, like your regular Republic Acts or presidential decrees, are not just the laws that are being implemented here. There are also there are many forms of laws, which includes Supreme Court rulings, international laws that we do not, well, Filipinos do not particularly pay attention to, and these are laws that are important. So as much as possible, I keep myself well informed, not because it does help me with my studies.
What do you think is the importance of the advocacy?
I think like every other advocacy like that we have right now, like the advocacy on mental health awareness, the advocacy on suicide prevention, the advocacy on LGBTQ rights, what we really want is to bring awareness to what needs to be addressed. I think this advocacy is the first step into addressing the problems that we have with regard to the implementation and passing of our laws these days. Because as you can search just by typing it in Google that our laws right now are really construed in a way that even the everyday man would have difficult understanding what these laws are, because there are legal jargons that are being used, like there are legal jargons that are being used that that you would really need to think about, what does this law say? And I think that's wrong, because we have this legal maxim that ignorance of the law does not excuse anyone, and yet we are not making it easy for people to understand what these laws are. So I think the importance of this advocacy is that it brings awareness that the laws should be able to be understood by, we should be able to bring down the law in a way that it should be able to be understood by not just the everyday man, but those who are in the marginalized sector, because more than often, these are the people whose rights needs to be protected. It's not really the privileged or those who have already studied, because we have this thinking that if you know your rights, the chances of it being violated gets, the percentage of it lessens. But if you don't know these rights, how do you know that you can say no to something being done to you? So I think that's the importance of this advocacy. Basically, it's bringing awareness to what really need to be addressed right now.
Last question is, as a future lawyer, what can you do to help further the cause?
In the legal profession, we are being taught that the legal profession is not a money-making business. It's always going to be a lifelong advocacy. It's not a money venture wherein it's not really what people think, that you will get money at the end of everything. After you pass the bar, you get lots and lots of money. It's a lifelong advocacy to fight for someone's right. And I think as a law student and as someone who is currently working with groups and organizations such as the Association of Law Students of the Philippines or the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, even government agencies like the Supreme Court, I think as a law student, I can further this cause by bringing their attention to this as well. Because if these agencies and these organizations or these corporations can back up these advocacy, I think it can go further than bringing awareness to what indigenous people needs to know. We can bring awareness so that every single citizen here in the Philippines can know what their rights are. And I think that is the end goal of this advocacy. It's for, as we have said, it's education for all. So it's legal education for all, which means that every single person will be aware of their rights, what they can do, what they cannot do. And at the end, it's going to fulfill the end goal of the advocacy that we are putting it under, which is education for all.
Hi, I am Teacher Yana. So for number 1, for you, what is the meaning of EFA? For me, education for all means that every citizen in every society has the right to basic education regardless of their sex, their race, their age, and their status. And because of this, education for all should target the vulnerable, the disadvantaged youth, the ethnic minorities, so that these people will be given access to free education that will equip them with the appropriate learning and life skills. Number 2, do you agree that EFA should include all aspects, including law? Why? Yes. The 1987 Constitution guarantees the right to education of every Filipino. It provided that the state shall protect and promote the right of all citizens to quality education at all levels, and shall take appropriate steps to make education accessible to all. So with that Constitution and 3 other acts, the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, the Free Secondary Education Act, and the most recent one, the one signed by our President Rodrigo Duterte, which was the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act, our government was able to create programs that will bridge gaps. to educate the youths and the adults that have never been to school. Either they drop out, they are reverted back to illiteracy, or they just need basic or advanced skills to find jobs. So because of this, our government was able to allocate budgets and give proper funding to make these programs happen. On a scale of 1 to 10, how aware are you of your rights as a citizen of the Philippines? I would say I am properly informed of my rights, and I keep myself abreast of any current news or current events by watching news in the television every night and reading newspapers through reading news through newspapers or online platforms. So I guess I'd say I'm 8. How often do you keep yourself updated regarding the new laws implemented in the country? So like what I said earlier, I try to keep myself updated from time to time. Also, because of the CPD units requiring professionals or the continuing professional development, I really try to imbibe it, so I learn as much as I can and not just because of the points that I will earn. How do you think what do you think is the importance of the advocacy? So for me, the most importance of this is to be able to increase proficiency or literacy rate of our students or our citizens. The world is tough, and if we will be able to equip our learners with the right armor, which is the skills and the knowledge, then they will be able to survive the challenges that they will face. As a teacher, what can you do to help further the cause? As a teacher, I have an experience volunteering in ALS or Alternative Learning System as an instructor. World Vision also has a program since 2012 where a birthday sponsorship program where you can vouch your birthday to keep a child to school. So I was one of the pioneers of that program.